Ahí,
Ok.
ahí lo tienes todo el espacio para ti. Yo voy a estar ahí en el background y si me necesitas ayuda, me llamas.
Ok. Perfecto. Muchas gracias, Eldercito. Eldercito, creo que
¿Sí?
la imagen principal debería ser la cámara que está transmitiendo, por la que estoy transmitiendo yo. Pues porque si publico el piano va a quedar muy pequeño, no se va a alcanzar a ver.
No
Podría.
sé, a ver. Entonces, como si quieres que se vea solo tu cara.
Sí, pues lo que pasa es que se está viendo el letrero de For Truth Media y pues la idea es que se vea más grande eh, um, la cámara por la que estoy transmitiendo porque está muy pequeña.
Ah, no, en Zoom, ¿estás mirando en Zoom?
Sí,
Ah, no, no, así no se ve en YouTube. Ahí, en YouTube estoy aquí mirando y se ve bien. Estás como tú cubriendo toda la pantalla.
ok, ya puedo empezar.
Sí, sí, ya empezó.
Ok, gracias. Gracias, gracias.
Ok, sigue adelante.
Gracias, Eldercito. Okay, welcome back to our piano lessons. In today's class, we will learn about how to read music. And we will start from the very beginning. So, the last class, we practiced something about how to play notes on the piano, the good position of the fingers and the hand and the arm in both hands. And if you wanna see the last video, just take a look. And today we will learn about the notes. For this class, we will need start to read notes. So there is not another way to learn notes or to read faster, but the practice. So the more you practice, the best you will be reading music. Let me show you my piano, and we will start with our first notes. So in this class, I told you, we will play our first note. So you can see my stuff that I have now, and is the first exercise. The note you can see here, we call a quarter note. So that means you can play in this time measure. You can have 4 times. So the first we will count the 1 time. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, and each time will be a note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That means that the quarter note is about the duration. How longer is the note? It's just a quarter of the whole measure. So we have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that note represents the middle C. The C is placed in the middle of the piano. Okay? So, for people who has a piano, 88 notes will be the 1, the 2, and the third octave. For people who has a piano like 5 octaves, this will be the second one. That will be the middle C. And that's the C we have here in this staff, middle C. So how the staff guide us is used about the duration and the height of the note. So if the note goes up, our finger will play more higher. Will play higher than if we go down, lower. So no, our first position will be with the finger number one, that one, in the middle C. And we will read C, 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 C. That means C, 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 C. Okay? Our second note will be D note. It's exactly the same duration. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it. Our second finger, we will have our first in C, our second in D. So let's try. Just D, 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 D. That's our second measure. So if you have a note with a small line, you can identify as a C note. But if there is not any line in the middle, is D note. So that's the difference between C note and D note. Okay? So we have C note and D note. For this exercise, for practicing the first hand, the right hand, we'll hold our hand in the position we learned the last class, like this. So each finger will cover each key from C to G, but we will start to read C note and D note. Just a recommendation, keep your eyes in the stuff, okay? Try to don't look your hand, because if you already knows that that finger is in C note and that one in D note, the only one thing you need is to recognize the C note, the note that has the line in the middle, and D note doesn't have a line in the middle, okay? So C and D, use, keep reading, and avoid to take a look at your hand. Just keep reading. C note and D note. Okay? So let's try these two measures, first and second. I have a metronome, and I recommend you to use the metronome in every practice. It's so much better to practice with a metronome that will allow you to play music properly, having a time. Okay, so I have a metronome, and if you don't have, you can try to just download an app. Metronome app is, I think there are many free apps, and my BPM is 70. Okay, so we need to count louder as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then start. Okay, I recommend you also be ready in a good position before start. So try to start when you are ready. If you're not, just try, take your time to be ready, each finger in each note, and just leave your hand in the good position, ready to play. We will work in C note and D note. That's it. Use finger number 1, finger number 2. So let's read both measure of the staff, number 1 and number 2, C note and D note with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, and C, 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 and then D, 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 D. That's everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, 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 and then D, 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 D. Let's try the third. Is C, D, C, D. Again, C, D, C, D. So it's use, keep in mind that you have C note and D note, and the only one difference is the line in the middle. So all this group is C note because you can see the line in the middle, and all this group is D because you cannot see any line in the middle. So here you can read the difference: C, D, C, D. Okay, and the last measure is exactly the same, the first. So C, 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 and C. Let's try to read this measure, number 3 and number 4. So C, D, C, D, and then C, 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 C. So now we will try with the metronome, measure number 3 and number 4. 1, 2, 3, and C, D, C, D, C, 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 C. When you practice this exercise, you need to keep in mind the right position of the hand, the finger that we will cover the note that you need to play. In that case, is use C and D. Try to don't leave the other fingers. Just keep the position, okay? And then try always play with the metronome. Let's do the exercise number 1, C and D note. So 1, 2, 3, and C, 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 then D, 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 and then C, D, C, D, and C, 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 C. Okay, we already know C note and D note and the duration of the quarter note. Let's try something different, something like the exercise number 2. Okay, exercise number 2. So in the exercises we have the half note. The difference you can see here, each note is 1 time, and we cover the 4 times that we have in this measure. Here we have exactly the same duration, I mean 4 times, but the half note will cover the half measure. It means that the duration will be 2 times. So we count 1 and 2. That's the duration of the sound. So in that case, we have C note, and the duration will be 1 and 2, and that's it. That's the duration of this note. Here we have D note, and the duration 1 and 2. Let's try to read this exercise with the same notes, C note and D note. So 1, 2, 3, and C and D. I repeat, 1, okay, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so you need to hold this note 2 times. 1 and 2, and then 1, 2. Don't leave the finger before you count 2 times, okay? Because the duration will be 2 times, and that's important. That's the difference between the quarter note and the half note. So quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the duration. Half note is 1, 2, 1, 2. Longer than the quarter note. So we can read the measure number 1 again. Let's try. 1, 2, 3, and C, D, 2 times. Then we can identify C note here. C, C, quarter note. D, half note, and that means C, C, D. Okay, I just divide the sound D just to show you that the duration is 2 times, but here the sound is not divided. It's the same, so D, and you count the 2 times. So let's play the second measure and try to follow the difference. And 1, 2, 3, and C, C, D, with the note C, C, D. Okay? Now we can continue with the metronome and read the measure number 1 and measure number 2. 1, 1. Okay. Let me stop. 1, 2, 3, and C, D, C, C, D. Okay? And we can identify the difference between the note and the duration of each note, between the C and D note and quarter note and half note. So let's complicate things. We have here C note and D note in a duration of the half note 2 times. Then C, C, and D. Difference between duration is 1, 1, and 1, 2. Here we have D note and C note. About duration is 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? Again, quarter note, D, D, and then C. 1, 1, and 1, 2. Let's try to read without the metronome, just to recognize the duration and the name of the notes. So, C, D, C, C, D, D, C, D, D, C. Okay? And with the metronome, 2, 3, and C, D, C, C, D, C, B. Okay, let me stop. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3, and C, D, C, C, D, D, C, D, D, C. Okay, so if we understand what the name of the note is, we can identify the note and the name of the note and the duration, we can start to play easy songs. So let's continue with our third exercise. And let's add another note. E note. So in the same order, C note, D note with finger number 2, E note with finger number 3. Again, finger number 1, C note, finger number 2, D note, finger number 3, E note, C, D, E. That's the note, and we can see the note here in the first line of our staff. Remember, that line is different to this line. Does it use a line in the middle of the note, and that one is in the staff. Okay, so let's try to read. C, C, D, E. And with the times, 1, 2, 3, and C, C, D, E. Okay? Measure number 2 is C, E, D. C, E, D. And the D, the duration is 2 times. So C, E, D. So let's play the first 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, and C, C, D, E, C, E, D. Okay. Next is the third with C, C, D, E in quarter notes. C, C, D, E. Each time we play one note. C, C, D, E is exactly the same that the first and third are the same. And the last one is C, C, 2 times each one. So C, C. Let's play number 3 and number 4 with the exercise number 3. So 1, 2, 3, and C, C, D, E, C, C. So now we can read the whole song. Exercise number 3 from the beginning to the end. So 1, 2, 3, and C, C, D, E, C, E, D, C, C, D, E, C, C. Well, we can read 3 notes now. C note with finger number 1, D note with finger number 2, and E note with finger number 3. So let's read exactly the same 3 notes with another new duration. We have 1 time the quarter note, 2 times with the whole note, with the half note, and we have 4 times now with the whole note. So that means that we will play the whole measure. Okay? So that note we will cover the 4 times. In that case, we have a C note, and the duration will be 1, 2, 3, 4, the whole measure. So let's play it. 1, 2, 3. Oh, with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the duration, the whole measure. Okay. So the exercise number 4 is actually another song, easy song, and we will use exactly the same notes that we already know. E, D, C. Let's try to read the whole song without playing any notes, just in order to understand what the notes are. So E, D, C, D, E, 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 longer one, 2 times, and then D, 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 E, E, E. The second line is E, D, C, D, E, 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 D, D, E, D, C. And if we try to play this song, we will play something without the metronome. E, D, C, D, E, E, and 2 times. Then D, D, 1, 2, E, E, 1, 2. Next, E, D, C, D, E, 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 then D, D, E, D, and C 4 times. Let's try to play with the metronome. I know it's a longer one, but will help us to understand how to play 3 different notes if we are talking about the name of the notes, and 3 different durations. 1, 2, 3, and okay. So let's try again, and I will sing the notes. And you need to try again, sing the notes and play the notes. It's a little bit confusing, but will help us to identify the notes. So, and 1, 2, 3, and E, D, C, D, E, 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 D, 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 E, 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 D, C, D, E, 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 D, D, E, D, C, 2, 3, and that's it. So we already know 3 different songs at 3 different durations of the note. Let's try the next exercise. Use at F note. We have already C note with finger number 1, D note with finger number 2, E note with finger number 3, and the next is F note with finger number 4. Okay? C, D, E, F. So where is F note in our staff? It's just here. And voila, here. That's F note. So the difference is here in the line, you have E note, and in the next space, you have F note. There is a difference between the line and the space. Okay? So let's try to read the first measure, and let's identify what the notes are. E note, and that one, C note. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, D, E, F. So our fingers will be in that position. So E note is our first note, then C, then E, then C. So is E, C, E, C, E note and C note. Then we have E, C, and E again. Let's try to read number 1 and number 2. Measure number 1 and measure number 2 of our exercise number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. E, C, E, C, E, C, E. 2 times, okay? Then we have F and D. F, D, and then F, D, and then F, D, and then just F. Okay? So we can practice the F note now. F, D, F, D, F, D, F. Okay, so let's try to read from the beginning. C, no, E, C, E, C, E, C, E, and then F, D, F, D, F, D, F. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and E, C, E, C, E, C, E, F, D, F, D, F, D, F. And let's play with the metronome this first line. So 1, 2, 3, and E. Okay, E here. 1, 2, 3, and E, C, E, C, E, C, E, then F, D, F, D, F, D, F. Okay, and the last line, the last fourth measure, we will start in E note again. So is like the same measure number 1 and measure number 2. It repeats in measure number 3 and measure number 4. So it's again E, C, E, C, E, C, E. There is not any difference. And the last one will be F, E, D, E, C, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? I will repeat this last one is F, E, D, E, C. Let's play the whole exercise. Is 1, 2, 3, and E, C, E, C, E, C, E, and then F, D, F, D, F, and then again E, C, E, C, E, C, E, and we finish F, E, D, E, C, 2, 3, and 4. Excellent. So we have 4 notes now. E, C, D, E, and F. First, second, third, and fourth. So we use means for this class the note that we call G note with our last finger, number 5. Okay? So this song is very common. I think that everyone know the song, and we will try to read the notes and to recognize the song. We will add G note, so if we start from C note and then D note, and then E note, and then F note. So G note will be in our second line of our staff. The second line, the first line is E, and the second line is G. E, E, F, G. That's our G. So let's try to read without playing any note. In our piano, just read E, E, D, sorry, E, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, E 2 times, and D 2 times, and then E, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, D, and then C. Okay? So let's play without metronome. Our position again. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 for C, 2 for D, 3 for E, 4 for F, and the number 5 for G. And we will read our first line. Oh, the whole song. Let's do this whole song. Let's start for E note. 1, 2, 3, and E, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, E 2 times, and D 2 times, then E, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, D 2 times, and C 2 times. So let's try to play, use the note. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and wow, that's so fast. We will play without this software. So 1, 2, 3, and okay. So let's sing our notes. Okay, let me see. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and E, E, G, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, E, D, then E, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, D, C 2 times. So that's our note finger number 1 in C note, finger number 2 in D note, number 3 in E note, number 4 in F note, number 5 in G note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C, D, E, F, and G note in our right hand. So I will leave the staff that exercise, the exercise number 1 from number 1 to number 6 in the description of the video. And thank you so much for being with us. We will see you in the next lesson number 3, that will be in our left hand. Thank you so much, and practice.